What's up, everybody? Welcome in to Esports Weekly, week number 5 of the summer split. If you're just joining us now, this is your first time watching Esports Weekly. First of all, what took you so long? Secondly, we're glad you're here. We got a lot of great stuff for you. We're going to go over what we think will happen in week 5. We'll recap a little bit of week 4, touch on minor league, global series, console series. We got top plays, top fails, maybe featuring some of our own. It's going to be a good show, so let's get right into it. Joining me here on the desk, as always, Hindu Man and Taco, here to talk about both this week and last week. So let's start last week. I think that makes a little bit more sense. In Europe was kind of wide open. Last week we were talking about how real is Obey? Are they going to be able to keep up their momentum? They beat Energy. They beat Energy, and still I feel like we come out of last week feeling a little bit down on them. I don't know.
I think we come out last week thinking Europe's kind of up in the air. Well, the reason we really come down on them so hard is because they lost to Mouse.
Yes.
2-0 later on in the week. It's like one performance. The Reddit themselves, the fans at home have been talking, and they were saying the biggest thing about that is Obey as a whole seems to play better when they're against harder opposition.
They just feel like they refuse to lose to Energy specifically. I don't think that in comparison to playing up against a lot of the other teams like Rival and Dignitas, it's not really the same circumstances. I just feel like the grudge match ultimately brings Obey to that extra bit of oomph that we've kind of been waiting to see from them. And I'm just curious why they can't take it to be more consistent against everywhere else.
Traditional sports teams. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's like there's the old rivalry, the old guard versus the old guard, the two teams that are... Obey's always going to have Energy's number, I guess. It's just one of those bogey teams for Energy that they're now going to have to deal with.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to try and remedy that moving forward. They've already played them twice, and that's their only 2 losses so far on the split is to Obey Alliance. Energy sitting in first place right now, tied with Team Rival. But we'll get into what we think will happen in Europe this week in a little bit. Let's move on to North America. Another team that was kind of on the up and up, that people were excited about, Splice. Everything was gravy for them. I believe they started off the split 3-0. They're now 3-3. They have not been good as of late. What's wrong with Splice?
Think teams have started to work them out?
That tends to be the circumstance. I think that once teams start to become more familiar with each other, because this isn't just the spring split anymore. This is like taking spring split, comparing it to the summer now. And I think that Splice really just had that extra little bit of momentum carrying through into summer because they were all living together. You win your first couple of sets. You guys are all riding off of that going into your third. Another quick victory there. And I think the big one for me also was when they beat Space Station.
Yeah.
That kind of solidified themselves in a lot of people's minds, myself included. I think that they had some real potential to take those top 2 spots away from E United or even possibly Space Station. And then suddenly they just fall flat.
Yeah. We just mentioned patch-to-patch changes as well.
Sure.
The one thing to note as well is that when a new patch comes out, teams have to adapt, and if they don't adapt, they generally die. If you don't look into the patch and rehearse the patch a little bit and you think it's going to be the same, sometimes it's not. And I think that's one of the things Splice have struggled with.
Well, Splice isn't dead quite yet. They still have the opportunity to make the summer land. They're sitting at 3-3. They're looking up at Space Station at 5-2 as we take a look at the standings. It'll be visualized a little bit better for you guys. This is certainly not out of the picture. Trifecta and Splice tied at 3-3. They'll play later on this week, so we'll get a chance to see who comes out on top in that one. But overall, I don't think you can count Splice out quite yet, but it is do or die time now. You can't go in to the next week sitting in a negative record and expect to make land.
I personally think North America's a 2-horse race now, and Europe's a 3-horse race. The rest are all dead.
I mean, maybe. I think that Space Station has shown that they can bleed against teams like Trifecta and like Splice.
Enough,
maybe
to take them out of the top 2.
Well, spoiling your predictions a little bit, let's get right into them then, shall we? Before we do, I believe we have our running totals of who's been successful so far on the predictions.
I don't know how.
I've been waiting for this all week. Still on top, baby. 70%
Can we just
for your boy.
I believe I climbed from 40%, right? After week 1, I think I was at 35%, 40%. I'm up to 65% now.
What, you want credit for being bad week 1?
No, I just didn't realize we were going to do a running total. Otherwise, you would not be at the top right now.
No,
you weren't taking it seriously. Yeah, you weren't trying.
I'm taking it seriously this week.
Yeah, okay.
The first week, I'm taking it serious.
This is the first week Hindu Man's taking it seriously, so we can expect 100% from you this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, easy.
You can't not get it right.
Nice and easy. So clearly, if you guys are looking to make some FP, I'm the one you should be looking towards. You've got the best statistical chance of finding FP
over 3 weeks. Oh, 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Sorry.
Yeah,
4
a
weeks.
significant amount of time. Just a whole month I've been the most consistent. That's all I'm trying to say. Let's get into week 5 then. First matchup later on today. Rival versus Energy, a classic matchup, one that we've seen quite a bit of, and one that has been really, really close between these two teams historically. These two teams tied atop Europe right now. What do you think is going to be the difference in this match?
I don't know what the difference is going to be. It's going to go all 3 games. Will Chernobog get free for one of these teams? That's a question that we're going to talk about as well. Chernobog available this week, so that could cause some issues in the picks and bans. Both teams would have had to strategize heavily going into this one. This is going 3 games no matter what.
Chernobog, by the way, for what it's worth, will be a part of our meta discussion later on, so make sure you stay tuned for that. This matchup between Rival and Energy is one that historically has gone Rival's way until recently. This split, Energy broke the triangle, the curse, whatever you want to call it, and actually beat Rival. Do you think they get to do it again here, Taco?
I think there's a very high likelihood that Energy ends up taking this one again. I know that Dignitas, for what it's worth, would probably prefer that it be Energy who takes the victory here. That way they would have to go for the head-to-head tiebreaker with Rival, I think. And I mean that in the sense that I feel as though Dignitas would almost rather play Dignitas as opposed to playing against Energy, because they can't seem to really figure it out against Energy, but we've seen them beat Rival.
I think the big key for me in this one is that Emilito over the last few weeks has really stepped up his game. He had a pretty quiet Season 5 up until this point in my estimation, and all of a sudden he has really showed up and looked really, really solid. So if he can continue to look really good, that is going to be a huge boost for Energy, because Vote has really given them problems.
At the end of the day, the season's a long season. You know, you start off all the way in February, March, whatever, and then go all the way through to November. You're going to have down games. You're going to have bad periods of time in your personal play, and your team need to rally around you. Energy, as a whole, the original Energy, when they first came about, they had that sort of carry potential, but now they've kind of lost some of that, and they need to find it again. Emilito's been on a down spurt, I agree, but I think he's stepping back up.
Plus, Hunters overall, I think we're in a bit of a lull for the start of, or I should say for the majority of Season 5 so far. And almost up until recently, I would argue that a vast portion of our SPL scene, at least for the Hunter side of things, has kind of struggled a bit. Yeah, but now the Hunters are starting to come back a little bit more into favor. They're starting to get some of that farm, get some of the itemization going that they need to be a little bit more relevant during team fighting stages. And that's where we're starting to see this like resurgence of performances out of players like Emilito.
All right, well, let's get down to brass tacks then. Who do you think is going to take this one? Who will solidify themselves atop Europe?
Energy.
I've got Energy.
You've got Energy. I'm surprised. You had Energy going winless last week.
I know.
And then you turn around and give them this victory.
Because I saw the performances recently, and I do think they're going to do the double against Rival.
Fair enough. I also have Energy. I'm still of the belief that Energy is the best team right now.
We'll be honest, I did tell production later this weekend that it was going to be Rival, and I changed my mind.
Really?
I did change my mind.
You like woke up one day and you're like, this is wrong. I need to pick Energy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's legit what happened.
The gut feeling. I'm excited to see what happens in that one. You don't have to wait very long. That's later on today. The other game today is going to be E United versus CLG. E United has been dominant so far in NA, sitting at 6-1. They've only taken 1 loss. They've looked great. CLG, on the other hand, has really struggled. They're in 5th place still at 2-5. At the beginning of the summer split, this would have been a premier matchup, one where we're breaking down as much as we just did to Energy and Rival. This might be kind of cut and dry now.
Funny enough with CLG, I think the biggest thing about them overall is how spring began for them was a great rise to the top. But since then, they've kind of just lost the pace. They've not found the meta, in my opinion, that's comfortable for them to play in, especially against opposition, what their meta is going to be. Since then, they've been struggling. They've still not found it, I don't think.
I feel it's really important you mentioned that bit specifically, because I would have to agree. I just think that CLG has not really managed to find their stride, and ultimately they're sitting in that 5th, 6th spot, and it's not looking too good for them in the rest of summer.
They're going to say 5th.
Yeah, they might not be able to climb their way out of that 5th place position. We'll go to predictions then. I imagine we're all going to be in unison here. I've got E United. I don't think that we'll see anything super crazy. Maybe I could see CLG taking a game in this spot, but being able to beat E United in a best of 3 just seems unlikely now.
Just don't see it.
I just don't see it happening with the way that E United have been playing.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we all are on the E United train right there. Let's move on to Tuesday, where we go to Europe exclusively. Dignitas versus Mouse Sports will be our first matchup there. Look, this is kind of the opposite of what I was just talking about, right? Where normally we'd say E United versus CLG, big matchup, let's get into it. Normally we'd say Dig versus Mouse, not a big deal. This is easy, Dignitas. I think we'll likely still be on the same page here, but Mouse Sports has made a lot of strides since picking up Spudio.
They have, but maybe scrape a game. That's what I kind of see out of this team. I think Spudio's just given them a new lease of life. I don't think everyone's talking about Spudio a lot. It's because he's new and the team's looking good all of a sudden. Yeah, he's doing his job as a hunter, but the rest of the team seems to have a new lease of life.
That's a good point. I don't want to make it sound like Spudio is God's gift to duo lane, because I don't think that
Well, that's kind of what the fans do at home. They see a team do well, and they're like, oh, it's all that player. It's all Spudio. Put Cherry over to bed. Darnez is useless now. Nika. I mean, Nika's actually probably had the best split of his life so far.
I would agree with that. Nika, big man tanks continue to impress, and I think that that's the right way to look at it, is Spudio has revitalized this team to some degree. But do you think that boost is enough to get them over Dignitas?
I don't think it's enough to get them over Dignitas. I'd rather wait to see Mouse in the fall split, I think is where I'm mostly gunning for them at, because I think that the summer split's just their best period to really shape up and learn how to best adapt alongside of Spudio.
So just to note one little thing there really quick is that every single time we've ever seen a roster change in history, it generally takes them a whole split to adapt to that new team, and then it's the split afterwards that you actually start to see performances. So Trifecta doing okay for themselves right now in North America, for example, with Paul, they'll get better in fall. I think Mouse, if they stick with the same roster into fall, they'll get better, but will they be good enough to challenge for the top 2 or 3?
They could have a lot of time to scrim between summer and fall, giving themselves an opportunity to get better. I think that'll really help them out. I also have Dignitas, for the record. We feel good about Spudio. We feel good about Mouse. But
it's a quick day Tuesday. That's all we need to know.
Dignitas, yeah. All right, next up would be Obey Alliance versus SK, and I don't think this is... I don't think so. These two teams, remember, the longest set we've had in Season 5 was these two teams. They always seem to go to late game. This will go the distance, and I don't think this is a slam dunk for Obey. They've had a lot of trouble with SK.
I don't think that it'll necessarily be a slam dunk for Obey, but it is... going off of SK's current record, I would just have to favor Obey here. Just statistically speaking, it's almost impossible to not go for Obey in this situation.
SK won yet?
No.
Right, there you go. Move on.
I think they could win this one.
That's all it was.
I still picked Obey. I just threw my pen. I still picked Obey, but it was close. Okay. I have a gut feeling like I'm wrong on this one.
I'm there with you. I could definitely see this being the one set that SK, because every single SPL team, they find that set eventually, and this could be it for SK.
If SK win, that Obey's dead.
Agreed.
That's why I don't see that happening.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move on to North America then on Tuesday. It'll be Space Station versus Luminosity. Luminosity, a team that just got their first victory of the split up against Space Station. Graham, thoughts?
Woo, a Space Station. Let's go.
Okay. Taco?
I think that Space Station will
Some of these need explanation, then other ones it's like the fans know, we know.
Luminosity, I think, have also just struggled to find that consistency factor going for them. They have moments where they look like a very promising team. You could definitely see them, rising towards that middle of the pack area and maybe above and beyond it. But then there's also just the reality of where Space Station currently stands, and I think that alone is enough to take them over the top of Luminosity.
So we all expect Space Station over LG. That one seems pretty cut and dry. The next one is anything but, however. Trifecta versus Splice. This is the third and fourth place teams, both sitting at 3-3. Splice with a significantly better plus-minus, if I remember correctly. But this one is absolutely critical. Whatever team wins this is still alive in their Lamb dreams. I think whoever loses this is likely eliminated.
Two teams that have enjoyed a very good summer split, in my opinion, where they've actually increased their performances as time's gone on. Trifecta with some changes to their roster. Splice getting a gaming house together, everyone hanging out. This is a very good matchup between the two. They're both middle-of-the-pack teams. This pushes one of them a little bit higher up, I'd say.
And I think that also Mazg has really stepped it up in the summer split. He has been carrying out and playing lights out in a lot of these sets. So I was really leaning towards Trifecta for a bit, but I gave Splice the edge because I think that Trifecta will struggle a little bit trying to figure Splice out.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Look, this is one where I wish I could have given it the Graham treatment, where I told production one thing before, and then I switched my mind. I have Splice down as my prediction. I do not feel comfortable in that. If I had the opportunity, I'd likely switch it to Trifecta, but
I think you're safe.
I feel like we're all in agreement so far.
Trifecta have a chance. There's probably going to go 3 games. I still think Splice come out on top.
This one's going to be close. I really feel like I don't know. Something tells me that I'm wrong on this one, but I digress. If I'm wrong, that means everyone's wrong, and my percentage is fine.
Solo lane isn't that much of the key.
That's a good point. All right, then on Wednesday, it'll be Rival versus SK Gaming. SK still winless at this point.
Still will be after this game.
Unless they had beaten Obey up at this point. I don't think they're beating Rival, though.
No.
I don't think they beat Rival.
I don't think they beat Rival. Rival wins against SK is our prediction. The next game, though, Team Dignitas versus Obey Alliance, a little bit more difficult to call, but Obey continues to struggle against Dignitas specifically. They got blown out the last time they played, it felt like. What do they have to change up against Dignitas specifically to put it in their favor?
We talked about shapes in spring of the triangle of death over in Europe. Well, now it's a square. That's kind of how I see it here. It's because Obey's now put themselves in the mix to be one of those teams that can take games off energy, for example, or, and have those sort of good performances. But I don't think they're going to get through Dig.
Are Obey capable of beating teams like Dignitas? Yes. But do I think that it will happen? More than likely not. And
consistency.
It's just, it does come back a little bit towards consistency, but also I just don't think that Obey we're going to see that same sort of fire from them as like what we saw when they played against Energy.
Yeah, I think they got to find a way to bottle that anger that they almost play with against Energy in some way, because it really serves them well. They've beaten them twice, which is incredible, but I also have Team Dignitas in this one. I think Dig is just the benchmark for a lot of these teams. Like, what Dig's going to do. They're not going to surprise you. You can easily game plan, but it's impossible to beat them sometimes. Sure. I just think that Obey might come in with a good strategy, but Dignitas is just going to outright beat them.
That's a very good point. I agree, Dig all the way, but I will say Dig's like the litmus test for Europe, and Space Station Games is the litmus test for North America.
Yeah, it does feel that way at times. Speaking of North America, let's head back there. E-United versus Splice will be our first matchup on Thursday. E-United, it continues to look good. Splice, as we mentioned, was at 3-3, depending on their outcome with Trifecta. That'll be this is where our show gets tough, because normally it would be, let's wait and see what they do against Trifecta, right? But that's not possible for us here.
Nope.
We all have Splice winning against Trifecta, though, so I guess we'll talk about that. What do you expect from these squads?
I think that I think that Splice has the possibility of taking a match off of E-United, but I don't think that they'll be able to close out the set. I think that E-United is just going to figure it out a little bit, because Splice do tend to play very heavy utility style, and E-United, they really know how to pull off the execution for a pick composition, and I think that's really going to mess up Splice.
Mentioned it earlier, Ron. I think Europe's a 3-horse race, North America's a 2-horse race. E-United is one of those teams in North America that would count as being the top 2. Splice, mid-table. And I think that's all it is to it. I think United is going to have the number overall. Splice have still got more to learn.
United, without a doubt in my mind, the best team in North America right now. Splice certainly swinging up in this spot. It sounds like are we going to have the exact same predictions all week long?
We did this all separately, by the way.
Yeah, we did.
We always do.
That's messed up, yo.
And I think we've been 100% on point.
I think we're going to be unless someone goes crazy on the last one.
Yeah.
We'll get there right now, actually.
Is anyone going crazy
for all of us?
No way.
No.
Trifecta versus Space Station. Did you guys go crazy?
Space Station.
I didn't go crazy, but we'll get to that in a moment.
So if I would have gone differently on that very opening game this week, that's the only thing that would have been different.
I think that I still would pick Trifecta over Splice.
So it doesn't matter what happens this week. Those stats that you saw at the start.
So I'm still going to be in first place going into the last week, is what I'm hearing.
Rigged. Space Station, obviously.
Space Station for me as well. I think Trifecta is close and could end up being a contender in the fall split. Still a little bit too early for them, though, it feels like.
Mid-pack. I think at the bottom, the way North America breaks down now, Space Station, United top 2, middle of the pack is Splice and Trifecta, CLG, LG at the bottom.
All right. Well, that's your predictions for Week 5 of the SPL, but how about the SML? We have a lot of action going on there as well. You can catch that Tuesday through Friday, usually starting right after that global series. The teams that we're talking about, we talk about them every week. It's in Signum, and it's very nice to me, in Europe and in North America, respectively. But the team that I want to highlight this week is another team in North America. It used to be Team Voltic, now Armada Esports. This squad looks pretty solid, and I think that they are the only challenger right now in North America. Two Very Nice to Me. It's their only loss so far is against that Very Nice to Me squad. And Cope in the jungle, his return to competitive play has been really impressive. He's been the catalyst for everything Armada does.
This whole team is just like those guys that once upon a time appeared on a major SPL team as a sub or a replacement and just didn't stay the course. It doesn't mean they're bad players. They were kind of super subs for those teams, it felt like to me, and had a split or two that survived. But together, they're all on the same page.
It's like that in-between zone for the team Armada, I would say, because a lot of their players, could they potentially fill in still for those roles in the SPL? Yeah, I could see them stepping in and still having an okay performance for the most part. But as far as going up against Very Nice to Me, I think that Very Nice to Me is, again, an SPL caliber team. They do have a couple of players, especially looking towards Wowie and Moswell here, that have competed before in the SPL and I think could go right back to to it even now. And I just don't really think that what we've seen so far out of Team Voltic or Armada now is going to be enough to topple that of Very Nice to
It's
Me.
close. They're going to be one of the top teams. But if you put them into the SPL tomorrow, say for example, Very Nice to Me would be 7th, and this team would be 8th in the SPL.
Sure.
Like they'd be their SPL level to an extent, but I think some of them will work better than others in the SPL level.
Feels like Very Nice to Me is the SPL waiting room right now, and Armada's still in the parking lot. Like they're there, but they just haven't gotten out of the car and walked
I'm not
in.
sure the ID yet.
Yeah, exactly. They still have to do all the
makes
paperwork and that kind of stuff on that squad. Let's take a look at the schedule for the SML in week number 5. Should be getting pretty close to Armada taking on Very Nice to Me. In fact, that'll be a matchup that we definitely need to watch. But until then, we got Very Nice to Me versus Team Cryptic, another team that's looked pretty solid so far in North America, and we'll see how they do up against one another. It's weird seeing Sanguine as an NA team, isn't it?
I know. I'm still getting used to it.
Like I was just like, uh-oh, did we? No, that's right. Yeah,
so
we did that right. Okay, we're good. All right, that does it for the desk. Thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
Let's throw it over to F. Dot as he's got your top plays for the week.
Hey, it's me. Thanks a lot, Ryan. He's over there. I'm waving to him. Hey, wave back. Thanks, buddy. Anyway, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We got 3 top plays, and of course, we got the top fails a little bit later. Let's just jump right into it. Shout out to Zelia. It's a short one, but I want to show you guys all about the objectives. Mind on his money. Money on his mind. He just kind of sneaks through traffic here and gets the steal. The ability to really get, he dies afterwards, like, oh well, what else is new for a solo later? But the way to get through traffic there was really fun, so I really wanted to give him to him on that one. Number 2 is Giannis. This is Wolfie, and he makes a really big play. Again, this is contextual, though. This is a stalemate of a game, and this one ultimate, watch how he just uses it and wiggles through this team fight, making use of each and every portal. This is a little bit more of like that high-level stuff, but that was a stalemate. Shoots the ultimate through the middle of everything, dinks one person or 2 people, and then just comes through and methodically plays through the team fight. Sometimes it's not all about just like flashy plays. It's about the nitty-gritty and earning the victory. You know me. I do want flashy plays. Show me Frostyak real quick. This guy's number 1 this week. Homie came through. This is the classic Frostyak play. Pops out the ultimate, and then blinks forward before he can comment and pulls somebody in. This is, I'm going to use my ultimate and shove you into it. Not trusting the RNG or the world. This is just like, I'm going to do it to you, and you're going to have to deal with it. So I like that one. Shout out to Frostyak coming back, and I have been very harsh on Frostyak, to put it lightly, and watching him perform, and his substitute role was pretty dope, actually. So shout outs to... there's no way I'm pronouncing his name whatsoever. You can look it up. Top fail this week was pretty fun. One of our own actually winds up as the top fail. Let's you can hear him sighing already. Let's just roll the tape. What's going on, Finch? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, it's Finch here. That's a horrible intro. I should never do that. Detail.
Wait, can I see those notes?
No, these are my notes.
Can I?
What are you doing?
Can I take a look at these notes?
What are you doing? You're blowing up my spot. All right. Anyway, this is my card I'm using. I'm very excited about these cards, Tully.
They're so cool, man.
Skill shot. All right, let's go into the game. No, Tully was my friend. I thought we were here together. I thought we were a squad. I thought we were a team. Not at all, apparently. Totally blowing up my spot. Can't believe it.
Get absolutely wrecked. You gotta have fun here, man. I had fun. I don't know about Finch, but yeah, that first one. What's great about that first clip where he's like, whoa, it's Finch, and questions everything about his life real quick. I messed up on that promo as well, about 13 times. Finch only messed up once, but I cut that because that's the magic of TV, baby. So that's what's a lot of fun. Anyway, I got a chance to catch up with Captain Twig this past weekend. We talked a little bit about his team, big picture, talked a little bit on his matchup, little picture, but it was a lot of fun. Let's talk to Ben Knight real quick. Hey, what's good, Captain Twig? F. Dot here. Just congratulations on beating Energy. You guys smacked him in the face. Talk to me about that victory.
Thank you. I mean, we were really nervous going into it. We needed the wins for any LAN contention that we already had left, which was very little. We needed the wins, and we did get them. There were some bumpy games, but I mean, it felt good. I think we managed to pretty much just play our game. We had a lot of troubles with dying at the start on... it would either be me and Prime or Raf or Nate who died at the start in almost, it felt like every scrim and every game. And I think we fixed a lot of that, and we got a lot better at it. We pretty much just played our game afterwards. Just tried to just play a game, play around where we're strong and when we're not, and yeah, it felt amazing, man. I mean, right now, so far we're 3-1 up on energy this season, and it feels amazing, you know, to have players that have left our team, Maniac and Emilsi, you know, not be at all good in the head-to-head against us. Just feels great.
That was going to be sort of my next my next question was, yeah, there's a little bit of a grudge match here, right? Maniac left the team, Emilsi left the team, Raffer left Energy to join you guys. There's a lot of not just Smite going on when Obey plays Energy. How much of that is just fun headlining stuff, and how much of that is actually real when you take the battlefield?
I don't know. It's tricky to tell in the competitive atmosphere. I don't know where I'm at with any team really. I feel like I like so many people. Like I know Energy, they're all nice guys. I love how chill Yamin is. I love talking to all of them. I think they're all pretty down to earth people. But and then it's like we'll play a scrim and they'll be taunting left and right, and I'm not sure and then someone will say drop the easy bomb. You know, and I'm not sure what the attitude is. I like them. I want them to do well when I'm not playing against them. So I guess on my end, I'm happy for the end. I don't have anything against the guys on Energy, especially Emilsi and Maniac. I just want them to do well. I know they're nice guys. So I don't really know how far it goes after that really, because I swear in scrims it gets so toxic. But I have nothing against them personally.
It's that battlefield mentality. I would venture a guess to say I think that your outlook is probably a little bit different than Craig's. I think Raffer is probably a little bit more rougher on the edges. No?
Yeah. Well, Raffer just wants to see the world burn. All right. So he doesn't. He just wants to get in everyone's head. He's got an agenda, for every team. He wants to see the world burn. He wants to see bad things happen. And he doesn't want growth. He just wants to get in everyone's head, and on match day, that to be an actual advantage. And go for it. He did that against us for 3 years when he was on Energy, and he's good at that. That works for him. But he wants to see the world burn. But I'm happy just chilling out and loving it for the competition.
The mental game is certainly there.
Yeah.
Everything else, though, kind of been troublesome for Obey to really get things going. You guys just come off of an Energy win, but have had trouble finding the W's elsewhere. We were talking about Raffer. He's the newest member of the squad. Sometimes it looks like he and the rest of the team are on different pages. Is there a communication desync? Are you still working through the new roster addition, or is it something else?
Absolutely. I mean, the support... he is the guy that has to work with everyone, Nate in lane, Prime and me around mid, throughout the entire game he has to play with us so much, and he does want to adapt, and he has the absolute correct attitude and the right attitude, and I love it. But obviously he's just come from a completely different atmosphere on Energy, where maybe he had to do a different job, and I think he has the absolute perfect attitude, and so do I think me and Prime and Nate, and just adapting to each other. And I do think there can only be good things coming up, from us as the season goes on. I can't see us getting any worse as our attitudes get more in sync and more in line.
Yeah, it certainly seems like a long-term play. You guys are all creative, I'll say. I mean, you, the original dual superstar, right? Playing anything and everything. Raffer always over there has been very interesting. I always bring up his first support game on Thanatos that he likes to forget about. But you guys have been experimenting really, giving Prime Neath and stuff. There's been a lot of detractors about that. Talk to me a little bit about how experimental you guys have been and your different approaches to the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, we like to be a team that can adapt and change to any different meta, and it felt like a good excuse for me to play a bit more Guardians when the boots were buffed, the Guardian boots, which helps jungling out a lot. It means you can like one-shot camps a lot easier, and you can deal with assassins a lot easier as Guardians. So the best way to fix a Guardian in the jungle is put a Hunter in mid, I think, in terms of damage and in terms of like CC chaining. It didn't really work out in game days when we played against Mouse or even Rival. Rival, I think, was the big test, and they demolished it really. We like to try things out. We don't like to just stick to the same thing all year round. We don't like to stick to the same thing, all season long. Like we want to change it up, and we want to adapt to whatever's good at the time. And I'd definitely say we're not afraid to experiment.
It's Captain Twig, jungler for Obey Alliance. Thanks so much for your time, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you very much to Captain Twig for dealing with FDOT. It's not always easy.
No, it ain't.
Now I have to do it because he's sitting just to my left. Pray for me.
Got him.
I need serious help. Please.
Oh, is my tie this long? It's like Trump long. I got to redo that.
Oh no,
This is too long.
Already, this meta segment is off to a horrible beginning. Welcome in, everybody. If you're just new here to Esports Weekly, is where we talk about what is going on in the meta, what we expect to happen in the meta, and we kind of teased it earlier on. Chernobog going to be available for the first time this week. Will he see play this week?
That's questionable. Cheddar Bob is very good. He's going to see at least ban or play. He won't be ignored.
I expect him to see some play. I agree with him, though, that I don't even know if he'll make it through, though. I want to see him play. I think that people are really highly valuing him. The more I play him, the more I hear them talk about him a little bit behind the scenes. I mean, that global pressure is so good, not just because he can, like, kill people, but because he can get more farm than you. He'll just come back to your lane and be 2 levels up. It's kind of crazy.
I think the thing that surprises me that we don't hear anything about is that he can press 4 and slow the entire enemy team.
What do you mean we don't hear about that?
We like
I
everyone's
hear it
like
all the time.
Everyone's like, oh, he can fly wherever, he gets damage mitigation, whatever. He's got a global slow.
On everybody. It's
a global slow
free.
that is not that weak. Like, you feel it for sure. If you don't have your movement abilities up, you're in trouble. Look, I think that for my money, that the only way he doesn't see play is if he's banned every game. I think that Chernobog is probably the best hunter right now.
He's really good. His clear is so strong so soon. It really is difficult to try and maintain your lane pressure when you're up against him. And it just helps him go steal jungle camps, which he also does very well. He's very safe. He can use the ultimate, not even to go anywhere, just go up and come back down an eternity later and feel perfectly fine. I mean, he's got a lot of tools at his disposal.
My favorite thing that people haven't been speaking too much about is his second ability, which you can use to clear, right?
Yeah.
Hachiman is very powerful because his banner ability is also a steroid. So he can clear the wave and then shoot you in the brain. Same idea here. His second ability clears the wave and will also be a steroid. So the idea that he can clear the wave and then box you is actually really powerful.
Yeah, it's the kid is insane. I think that the dash, having the ability to buy yourself some time and maybe avoid a cooldown or two, then pop back out of that wall.
Did you see the Zapman? Did you see the Zapman play?
Did I see that Zapman
play? Do we have that?
We have the Zapman play.
Play that.
We can play
that. Show Big Daddy Z. Look at this.
Shout out to Zapman stream where we pulled it from.
Now, to be fair, there's not a lot of attention paid to Zap here, but yes, he does do very well.
Shut up, he's a hunter. But look, this could be like.
Listen to what my man's just all free casting. Anyone can do that.
This could be like
right now.
This could be like the infomercial for it. Look, get crits like a regular hunter, but then when everything goes to crap, well, be Chernobog. He's going to go to the sky right now.
Now, this is what everyone cannot do, yes.
Yeah, he's going to flex out the ultimate. But look at this. This is the swag play. So he kills this. Watch how he reads the on her. He's got to jump into the wall before the impale. He just knows it's coming. Oh, my goodness. It's so hot.
And then he brings up the T screen just to style on him a little bit.
That's the panic. I love it, but my boy Zap.
Yeah, shout out to Zapman with the pentakill on the Chernobog. Really showing off everything that this character can do and wants to do in any given time. I think this god is nuts. Now, I'm not sure how good he is in mid. That's the one thing that if we see Chernobog mid, I'm not sure that I'm in love with that. The lack of a team fight ultimate really hurts him in that spot, and I think that's something that you're really looking for from your hunter mid. So I don't love him in the mid lane, but I would first pick this god in duo any day of the week.
Now, I have a question, Ryan. I'm worried about this God from behind because of that exact reason, right? If an ultimate that mostly is just used to go to other people or come right back down, if you can gank him and get a couple kills early, I mean, then you're right. Then his ultimate really is a lot less useful. Even though it does still do that slow, it does a lot of good things for him. It's not a Desert Fury. It's not a Sunbreaker. It's not a mounted archery. So I think there's some room there to potentially punish this guy.
And that kind of was the strategy with Apollo, but Apollo could always just go split push with that ultimate and then get away. Chernobog really can't do that quite as well. I mean, he can ultimate and split push, but he's got to land on an enemy, can't land on his team. And if all the enemies are just on their side of the map, he's probably dead anyways.
I want to go back to Chernobog in the middle lane. So you do want a team fight ultimate usually there in the middle lane, but we've ignored that for Ullr, right? And
he's got exclusive like insane pressure that no other character has.
That is true. But I like Chernobog's ability to rotate. He's going to be the only character in the game that can out-rotate a Giannis. Think about that. So I don't think he's numero uno. I'm with you. But I'm willing to, like, see it, try it, and if it doesn't work, leave it behind. Because I think there is value in they went Ullr, or they went Giannis, we're Chernobog, and, like, he ults, me too. I think that's valuable.
That's a fair point. I guess I'd rather have Chernobog mid than no Chernobog at all.
Yeah.
But I'd still rather just put him in the duo lane.
For sure.
I think that some team, either today or tomorrow, most likely, because the earlier SPL games, once teams watch them, they'll know. I think one team will be like, he's not that good. We can deal with this. And then he is going to mop them.
Trifecta.
And then everyone will ban it after that.
Actually, no. Zapman's on Trifecta. Never mind.
Yeah, Zap's going to want that.
I love that, though. Every time you start thinking you might be able to, like, doubt Zap for, like, a few minutes, like, maybe Zap doesn't still... No, obviously. He's still a very good hunter at the end of the day, right? Easily in the top group of hunters at any given moment.
So, normally, in previous weeks, we've been trying to do something like a lightning round that we haven't really gotten around to, and I'm literally springing this on production. I'm sure they love this about me.
Okay.
I think, I like to know the ability names for every god. I make sure I learn them beforehand. Have you guys done any prep work on Chernobog ability names yet?
No, I maybe know his ultimate. I think I might know the ultimate.
Well, we'll get there in a minute, Finch. What do you think the one is called? Anyone? A best guess. I'll give my own mental point.
Sure, yeah, it's an explodey ball.
It sure is. What's it called?
Like that.
Explodey ball.
I don't know the name.
Okay, Tom, you got a better guess at explodey ball? Low bar here.
Detonation of Darkness.
Is that true? Is that
no,
correct?
it is definitely not true.
That's a good guess, though. I like it.
But that was a better guess than you. Tom's up 1-0.
Well, I'm not gonna make some corny name. That's
what I want from you.
I'm gonna call it that on stream from now on.
No, Finch, you have that edgelord in you. We know you do.
Oh God,
all
no.
right, Darth Star is in there somewhere. Just tap into it, baby. Let's go. All right, you should be at an advantage.
Ratchet
here.
and Clank levels of edgy.
That's right. The second ability, that steroid, it's an auto attack that shoots out and pierces. What do you think it's called, Tom? We'll let you go first this time.
Demon Beam.
It is nothing like a beam. Nothing at all. A beam lasts for a while.
Let me rectify. Demon Surge.
Slightly better. Okay, Finch.
Pierce enemies.
Oh, I didn't even tell you what the first one was called, by the way. I'm sorry. I just realized that.
Yeah, what is the first one called?
Crystallized Curses.
That's what I said!
It really isn't. It truly is not. The second ability, neither of you were even close to correct.
I was I was nearby.
Wait, what was your guess again, Finch?
Pierce enemies.
Pierce. Oh, God.
Damn it, Pierce.
Nice reference.
Hey.
The second ability, Vicious Barrage.
Oh, that's a good name.
Because
we've got some good names here.
Demon Surge better.
Pew,
Can I call AJ? I like Demon Surge better.
I don't think
so. No, it sounds like a really bad energy drink. I don't want any of that.
No, it's bad.
Yeah.
All right, the third ability, the dash, lets you go into walls. What do you think that's called, Finch?
Hide in darkness.
Very close, actually. Okay.
Woo! Let's go.
Tom?
Shadow Dance.
You went really far from what I said, which was close.
I love the shadow implementation there. The dance just doesn't make any sense.
No, it does, because you're like, come get me, and then you dance away. You dance away. Yeah.
Do you now?
Yeah, you dance away, bro.
All right, well, you can dance to a 2-1 deficit because Finch got closer. Into Darkness is what it's called.
And what did I say?
Darkness something. I stopped listening. So you got one of the words right. That was good enough for me. All right, Finch, if you feel confident here, I'll let you lead
with
the ultimate. What do you think the ultimate is called?
Unyielding Fear.
Actually, it kind of works, but it's wrong. But I can stretch it for you, I suppose. Tom, what you got for me?
I'm going to tell you what all of your teammates are going to be calling it. Enemy missing, enemy missing, enemy missing, enemy missing. Okay.
Bad bit.
I like
Not
it.
a very good bit.
Finch.
You guys are the worst.
The VGS is sacred. Don't make fun of that.
Are you a joke?
I'm joking. Yes, clearly, like obviously.
This is clearly a 2-2 tie.
No, let's hear it.
Living Nightmare is what it's called.
What did I say again? Unyielding fear. Something
Yeah,
like that?
so like I feel
remember
like that
the
is
spirit of that. Yeah, I
it
remember
is
this.
like I can kind of stretch it to that. They can kind of be synonyms in a way.
Sure.
I'll give it to Finch, but Tom, I'll give you an opportunity. If you can get close to the name of his passive, I'll give you the victory.
Crystalline shards.
No, that would have been a really good guess for number one. No, knowing that is crystallized curses, Heart of Cold.
I knew that too.
I'm gonna make a guess on his passive for the win here. Heart of Cold.
Wrong, Finch. Tom wins. There you have it. You're all prepared for Chernobog in the SPL. I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of them, so make sure you memorize those ability names better than these two have so far. We got a little meme video for you guys, as we do every single week. Shout out to Joe Bro. I literally look forward to these every week. I am not kidding.
Ditto.
Please enjoy.
Another one. Another one.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
It's me.
Space Station can't stop this pick. We'll see how it ends up working in action and get it over to the dancing casters.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself. Dance, dance to your
Shout outs to Waluigi. Can you hear F Dot in the background literally wahing for Waluigi? He loves that character. You can see that the sort of closeness that those two share in some ways. All right, let's move on to the SCL. That's what we're gonna start off with. I'm sorry, F Dot is in the background behind the camera, like wahing and doing moves, and I just couldn't handle it there for a moment. The SCL continues to go on, and look, these teams are really, really close together. We've seen more and more roster changes, which has hurt some of North America, has helped some of North America. But in Europe, the team to beat still rival. Surprise, surprise. But the rest of the region is improving, but not in ways that we kind of thought they were going to. The team that came to land in Europe last split, Fable, hasn't really looked very good so far. So keep an eye out on Europe and where that sort of race to catch rival is going to end up falling. I can't wait to find out exactly who is going to be going with them to land. I believe we're pretty close, actually, to understanding who's coming with them to land. On to the Global Series. The Global Series also getting closer and closer to their clinching scenarios and where teams are going to actually come now to America and play during the summer finals. In Latin America is a region to certainly watch out for. It's the region that has actually taken a game off of an SPL team. It happened at Worlds a couple years ago. And Latin America is one that you see a lot of the players around the top ranked streams and that kind of stuff, the North American ranked streams. You'll see some of these players. And I think that experience, plus the fact that they just have seen actual success at the global level, has really pushed Latin America. And I'm always looking forward to seeing that Nocturne's roster and how they do, and the rest of the region kind of catching up. I equate the Global Series a lot to how Europe used to be in the SPL, where Energy was the dominant team. It was Epsilon for a while, then it was Energy, and it was just everyone catching up to one squad. And the rest of the region, everyone didn't really give a lot of respect to. But because they were working towards one goal, which was just beating Energy, or beating Epsilon, whatever you want to call them at the time, the whole region got a lot better. And I think we're going to see that in Latin America before the rest of the other regions, but we will see it in the other regions. Brazil close behind with Black Dragons. We've already seen it a little bit there. It seemed actually challenging Black Dragons a little bit. So keep an eye on the Global Series. Seeing a lot more games coming up for them. Take a look at the broadcast schedule for what we got going on here in week number 5. This is basically every week. The 10 a.m., you already watched it. It's Esports Weekly. It's us. Right after this, it will be that SMITE Console League and then SPL starting at 3 o'clock. Tuesday through Friday, similar schedule, but starting at 11 a.m., that will be the Global Series, straight into the minor league, straight into the SPL at 3 o'clock. Thanks so much for watching. Again, if you're new to Esports Weekly, really appreciate you joining. Make sure you can give us feedback on Twitter at HighResAggro right here. If you want to tweet to FDOT, don't. Just send it to me. Unless it's a compliment to FDOT, in which case also send it to me instead. Every week, we close out our show with a little bit of an homage, I should say, to our favorite Anatoly. This week is a little bit, well, Toly. It's our moment of Toly.
See during the darkest of nights, can't hit that one target, so he's going to hit the other, and with a sitting duck, you're going to get quacked. Quick death. Wowie using the Aegis to buy himself some time. Great peel from his support. Wowie still alive somehow, dancing on Graves' grave.
We're saying somehow.